This National League Central Divisional Bet and Preview Picks edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Rhythm is giving away a $250 future and throwing a March Madness party. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party for details. Plus, compete against SGPN this March in an epic college basketball survivor contest. First place gets $75,000. Enter at splashsports.com/SGPN. And SGPN is giving away $2,000 in our free March Madness bracket competition. Sign up today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/brackets. Welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Thursday, March the 13th, and we are carrying on with our divisional preview series as are we 1 week away? Maybe under that. I don't know what day Tokyo starts next week. But yeah, Divisional Series number 4, joining me, I think, for the first time this year, making his 2025 debut, is Mr. Lonte Smith. Lonte, how the hell are you? It's been too long.
Yeah, man, it's been a while. Just talking back and forth on Slack. Good to, yeah, man, we're right around the corner from the Tokyo Series, and looking forward to it. I
said to Scott on Tuesday that, like, the first week back of the baseball, it's like sort of coming back from the school holidays, and you haven't seen all your friends for ages, and you're dead excited because I haven't seen your face for ages. I saw you in the magazine, Lonte.
Oh yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah. I showed everybody that. I showed my mum. I showed people who don't care. I showed everyone. I'm like, this is Lonte.
I appreciate
you
that.
looked $1 million in that, by the way. You must have been happy with that picture.
Yeah, I was. I appreciate that. Yeah. Definitely appreciate that. Yeah, man, it was fun having those discussions with the writers and all that stuff, man. Yeah, that was fun, and it was just like really like detailed, and they did a great job, man. So shout out to them. They did a great job.
It was a great article. Go and track it down. Just search sort of Bloomberg.
Yeah, you can search. I think Bloomberg, SGPN. That should come up.
Yeah, and get a look at Lonte. Lonte and Blue. Blue was in the picture.
As well. My dog. Yeah, and she's running around somewhere.
Lonte and Blue. I was happy to see that. For the second time this week, if anyone spent all day waiting for the scheduled time, you can have that one on me. On Tuesday night, I had to watch extra time and penalties in the football, so we were late. Tonight, for the fifth straight year, I got stung by the daylight savings time because I know it's always 5 hours ahead or behind until this 1 week of the year when it's 4 hours. So I was just, do you know what I was doing when you messaged me asking where I was, Lonte? I was doing some YouTube yoga, of all things. So yeah, you've interrupted me from me cat cows and me downward dogs and all that.
you're the
by the way.
Yeah, I think Sean does a lot of yoga
without making myself laugh because I've just got no control over my own body. I can't breathe. I can't sit without falling over. I can't stand up. But I was trying my very best, Lonte.
Yeah, Sean does a lot of yoga too, I think.
Who? Sean does?
Yeah, Sean does. I think he still does some yoga stuff.
Oh.
I don't know if it's with his wife or maybe he does it by himself, but I know he was talking about it throughout the football season.
Well, man, I'm really, really bad at it, but very enthusiastic. Talking about being really bad at things, NL Central, probably a little bit harsh, not as bad as last year. The Central divisions for the last couple of years, going back at least a couple of years ago, everyone was terrible, but there were really good divisions to bet on because it was a concertinaed field. You could throw a blanket over all the teams in there. But actually last year, a lot of the teams got a little bit better. And they're quite good fun to watch, even the lesser liked Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Got some really good young players, fun players to watch. It's relatively tight again this year. 76.5 Pittsburgh projected the lowest. 86.5 the Cubs projected the highest. So a 10 game swing, but that won't take much in MLB. Just first thoughts, Lonte, about have you got much future action yet on MLB, or are you just starting to ramp up now?
So I usually, like I was telling you off the air, I usually just do a lot of my favorite stuff, like the stuff that I absolutely love, like the most during preseason. But I do a lot of betting like in season because it's just so many ebbs and flows of the season. And I think that once you watch some teams here and there, you kind of get a better feel for them and can kind of feel it out with what they're doing as far as bringing guys in from the farm system or whatever the case may be. So I do a lot of futures in season and not before the season, but I do have a few.
I mean, there's so much news, there's so much injury news that comes through. It happens, so it never fails to astonish me every year how many people get injured in spring training. Myself and Scott did the Yankees the other day, in only 24 hours earlier, they lost Garrett Cole. The very, very first spring training game, I remember last year I bet Bobby Miller, Cy Young. Obviously, he was rubbish. And this year, he pitched in the first spring training game. And within, I think he might have got one out. He took a comebacker right off the head at like 1,000 miles an hour. And we haven't seen him since. Like, he's got concussion. He's going to end up in AAA. And I just thought, like, the first day, the last thing Bobby Miller needed was to get beamed by that ball and knocked out after the year he had. So, yeah, this is a fun division. I've got my best picks for all 5 teams. I've got some player props later on. You can tell me if you like them or not, Lonte. But we'll go from worst to first, shall we? Now we'll start with the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are projected, well, 5th or tied 4th maybe in this division with the Cardinals. But the Pirates are 100 to 1 to win the World Series, 50 to 1 to win the National League, 10 to 1 to win this division, plus 475 to make the playoffs. The total on the Pirates is 76.5. 76 wins in 2024. So the line is exactly where they've finished. And I think that was about right for them last year. They didn't suffer with too much good luck, bad luck. It wasn't a false final for them at all. I don't mind the Pirates. They're one of those teams, they've got some good, fun players, but there isn't too much to get excited about. They don't have a big budget. They haven't splashed the cash. Andrew McCutchen re-signed. It's a good story. That's Pittsburgh is where he should be playing. They lost a few, but again, they didn't have big names to lose. So Rowdy Tellez, Connor Joe, Michael A. Taylor, they're all just Chapman maybe. And they added Tommy Pham, which I don't really know what that does. I think the lineup could be a little bit better. They need O'Neill Cruz to have a good year. He's one of those players who you can't take your eyes off when he's playing. If he can put some stuff together. Brian Reynolds is pretty reliable. Brian Hayes, another one with loads of upside. If he can stay fit. The other one I think who could have a good year for them was Joey Bart. Now, Joey Bart came with a big reputation from San Francisco. He was the great white hope there at catcher. Never happened for him. Turned up in Pittsburgh and he finished the season all right. He's kind of an afterthought now. He's a bit of a forgotten man, but I think Joey Bart can go okay. The headliner here is in the rotation, and it's obviously Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens came up last year, and it was just great. We enjoyed Paul Skeens' day every 5 days on the podcast last year. There's nothing much you can say about him. Everyone knows where they stand with Skeens. But I really like Jared Jones. Jared Jones was doing great stuff in the first half of the season. Mitch Keller's okay. Bailey Falter's okay. They added Andrew Heaney, who, again, has got potential. We'll have to see what they can get out of him. I think they can outwin St. Louis. Now, I felt like I bullied St. Louis all last year, but they haven't done anything to make me change my mind. But that's about it. That's kind of all I've got for Pittsburgh. There's just a lack of alternatives. Pittsburgh to win more games than St. Louis is -105. That would be my only pick here. A bit of a match
I
bet
like that. Yeah, I like that.
later on when we talk player props. But yeah, Pittsburgh didn't really inspire many strong feelings either way for me, Lonte. How about you?
Yeah, I like that bet that you just said, the Pirates to outwin the Cardinals. I mean, I know we'll get to the Cardinals
Yeah,
later,
that's
but
Bet365, Lonte.
yeah.
I don't know if you have that. They're doing a
Yeah,
lot
yeah,
of
I
match
do. Yeah, I do.
bets.
I do.
Okay, so yeah, they've matched up teams closest to each other, and that's
Yeah.
one of the match bets is Pittsburgh and St. Louis.
Yeah, I like that one. I'll be placing that one. Yeah, I mean, the Pirates are a weird team. I mean, just strictly pitching is probably their strong suit. They don't have a ton of consistent offensive players. They did hire a new hitting coach, so maybe that'll help here. And their ballpark is not a hitter's park; it's more of a pitcher's park. So that's why they lean on those guys, such as Skeens, and I like Jones as well. Keller fits right in at the 3 slot. They got Oviedo and then Falter. I think they are pretty much excited about a young guy, Bubba Chandler. He's got he's got 1.84 ERA and 7 AAA starts. So I think he's going to make his way into the rotation to maybe they make it a 6-man rotation, or maybe he takes over for Falto or Oviedo if they're like kind of teetering the line of being good. But I mean, I think they have a wide range of outcomes. If their offensive ceiling is, a lot better than what they have been. I mean, they finished 22nd and 23rd in runs scored the last 2 years. With the new hitting coach and with the pitching, I mean, all you have to do is score, 2 to 3 runs with some of these starts that Skeens has and Jones. Maybe just not as good as Skeens, but I think he's pretty comparable as well. So if the offensive ceiling is there and they're a little bit more consistent and the bullpen doesn't blow a ton of games like we saw last year, I think they can get to like 80-ish wins. Now, the downside to that is if the offense keeps struggling and then, you're overworking Skeens. He's going, 8 innings, 7.5, 7 1/3, 8 innings, and he kind of gets wore down at the end of the year. So I think the Pirates are a prime candidate to be like start fast and kind of teeter off at the end. But if they can make a move or two, kind of get some new bats in there, or if they're, some of the younger guys that they got coming up can actually exceed their expectations, then I think they could be, middling in this division. I mean, we talked about the division is up for, I mean, it's not really up for grabs, but at the bottom, I mean, you can rack up some wins. And even some of the teams at the top are not invincible. Everybody has their issues. So I think the Pirates are one of those teams that can either win 80 games or they can only win 70. So I think this number is perfect. I would prefer them over the Cardinals, though. I will say that. I mean, they've had 3 winning seasons since 2007, back-to-back 76-win seasons, and they've had 1 postseason win since 1979. So the history is there. I like the pitching, just don't like the offense. If the offense can get a little bit more consistent, I think they can compete for, 3rd or 4th place. But I think the number's perfect, though. And if I had to make a play, I would slightly go over than under.
Yeah, I forgot to mention Bubba Chandler. You're absolutely right. Hopefully we see him sooner rather than later. There's not much else in the division to get in the way. So if they are good, the divisional opponents aren't really going to hold them back. If they can improve a little bit, they're sure we'll get to that number. So yeah, interesting season ahead for Pittsburgh, fairly middle of the road. You can compete against SGPN this March in our $75,000 winner-take-all college basketball survivor contest. March has never been this exciting. Enter at splashsports.com/SGPN. That's splashsports.com/SGPN. SGPN has partnered up with Edge Boost, the premier Visa debit card for bettors. An Edge Boost card allows you to avoid the hassle of having your card denied at anywhere where you like to bet. You can earn up to $750 per month in cashback rewards. It's FDIC insured, no credit checks, and it's completely free. So edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. That's edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. And we're brought to you by mybookie.ag. It's your place to bet every sport, props for every game. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of locations. Easy deposit, lightning fast payouts using crypto. Head to mybookie.ag with the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. I was pausing a little bit reading them because Sean was editing the ad reads as I was reading them out. I was reading them from a live document. So it's almost like a game of cat and mouse. He was deleting words faster than I could read them out. So yeah, that was fun. But we did it. We got there thoroughly professional. So yeah, tied for fourth place in the projections are the St. Louis Cardinals. Very similar odds all the way along the line, as you'd expect. 100 to 1 to win the World Series, 55 to 1 to win the National League. They are actually 12 to 1 rank outsiders for this division, 2 points bigger than Pittsburgh. 4 to 1 to make the playoffs, but do have the same total, 76.5. Like I say, I kind of bullied St. Louis all last year, and they got to 83 wins, actually. They were better than I gave them credit for. I had them to finish last in the division at 20 to 1. I maintain it was a good bet because their expected win-loss was actually 76 wins, but they did win 83. So they carried a little bit of luck. But Lonte, I did pick on them last year. So where do you see the Cardinals this year?
Man, you picked on them last year. I think I'm going to pick on them this year again. I mean, they're not that good, man. They're just like the definition of average. Their metrics say that they were more like a 75 win team than an 83. So I think they got a little bit fortunate there. They don't have a ton of the upside like we talked about with Pittsburgh as far as their pitching. Like, you know, Pittsburgh has Skeens, they have Jones, they have O'Neal Cruz. They have some upside talent-wise that we can kind of depend on. Now, the Cardinals are more so on the lower end of that, especially pitching-wise. I mean, they're going to be relying on Sonny Gray. I know you like the lizard guy, Miles Mikolas, but I'm not sure if he's going to be as consistent. I like Fetty. He got traded midseason, so you know it's kind of hard to tell. So he'll get a full offseason to kind of acclimate himself in that ballpark and with that organization. So I think Fetty and Gray will be fine. I mean, but after that, a lot to be desired. I love Mason Wynn. I love Jordan Walker, but just need to be a lot more consistent when it comes to Jordan Walker. I mean, they've had one playoff series win since 2013. I love the consistency of the franchise, but they just don't have the top end talent on either side of the bat, whether it's pitching or whether it's hitting. So unless some of those younger guys come up, play extremely well, I can't see it, man. I'm going under on the Cardinals, and I like you said, I like that bet for the Pirates to win more games than the Cardinals.
Yeah, I would take the Cardinals to finish last in this division. I haven't seen a price yet. I might need to hunt around a few other books. I don't think they'll be the 20 to 1 I took last year. Gio joined us in the chat. Gio stamping his loyalty card. Yeah, the Cardinals seem to be a bit of a crossroads here, and I think this season could very easily go wrong quite quickly for them. And if it does, the fans will absolutely desert them, and it could be a right old mess. They lost Paul Goldschmidt to the Yankees. As it stands, Arenado is still there, but I'm not sure he wants to be. The front office really made an arse of this situation.
Yeah,
They went to the senior players, Arenado, Sonny Gray, changed tack halfway through the season. So those players are still there, but they're not impressed. The lineup isn't without hope. There's some question marks. The first two players I've listed are the two that you mentioned, Mason Wynn and Jordan Walker. And I've added Nolan Gorman to that. They could all take a step forward. There's no depth. I haven't heard of any of the bench players. And this rotation, holy shit, it's horrible. I like Sonny Gray. He leads the league in number of buttons open on his shirt every season, which I'm a fan of. Fetty might be okay, but the Lizard King. Andre Palante, I'm not having him in. Steven Matz, no thanks. Don't mind Ryan Hesley in the pen. I haven't given up on Matthew Liberatore either. I'm a bit of a sucker for him. But like I say, this...
Oh, yeah, you love Liberatore.
Yeah, they've got no margin for error at all. And like I say, the fans could easily ditch them. Big problems ahead for me for the Cards. So I'm going to take the under 6.5. And as we mentioned, 6.5, not that bad. Under 76.5. And yeah, win fewer games than Pittsburgh at -105. Sean's just messaged in Slack saying he's updated the ad reads, which is helpful because I'm fully aware that you did that, Sean, because I was there when you did it. In the middle of the pack here are the Cincinnati Reds, who are 70-1 to win the World Series, 35-1 for the league, plus 450 to win the division, plus 280 to make the playoffs, a total of 78.5. They won 77 games in 2024, an expected win-loss of 82-80. So a little bit of bad luck in there. What I did notice, looking at the expanded standings, was 15-28 in one-run games. I mean, you turn around some of those, and they're not a kick in the arse off being a playoff team last year. Nothing much to report really in terms of departures for the Reds. Gavin Lux came in from the Dodgers. I don't mind him. Just needs to stay healthy and put it together, Gavin Lux. We sort of say this every year. He hasn't had much luck with injuries. Austin Hayes, catcher Jose Trevino from the Yankees came in. And they added Brady Singer to the rotation, who I don't mind either. I feel like there's a lot of upside here. They've got a lot of fun players. Ellie De La Cruz is obviously the star, awesome. A little bit like O'Neill Cruz that we mentioned earlier. Can't take your eyes off him when he's playing. He will just run like a bat out of hell. But I like Friedel. I like McCain. He's come back really well. Encarnacion Strand. All good players, all plenty of upside if they can take another step on. Young players. The rotation, Hunter Green's great. And then, like I said, they've added Singer. But I like Nick Lodolo. I like Martinez. We liked Andrew Abbott and Graham Ashcraft. Were both kind of show favourites last year that every 5 days we wanted to go to. We felt like they would give us a chance. Scott Barlow is a good signing in the bullpen. Rhett Lauder, Spencer Steers back from injury. Noelvi Marte, people forget about that name because he got the 80-day PED last year. So I think they can have a go, the Reds. They're going to be fun to watch. They're going to be easy to root for. They might not catch the Cubs, but I really like the over 78.5. And if you're going to take the over 78.5, I've got to bet here that they win 80 games at plus 115. Mm-hmm. So just juice that extra little bit. It takes you into plus money. If they win 79, I'd be furious, but it would be a good story. So 80 games for the Cincinnati Reds, 80 wins is plus 115.
I like that.
Sorry, that's you. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, you said it all. So I fall in love with the Reds every year. I'm guilty of it. Frank Ona's taken over as a new manager. I like the addition of Lux. I like Austin Hayes. I don't know if you talked about Austin Hayes, but they got Austin Hayes as well. They did lose India to Kansas City, but I think that they have been trying to get rid of him for like the past 3 seasons. So he's out. They're in a hitter's park. The issue that I have with them is when they are like they're strictly offensively dependent. Like they don't do well in low-scoring games. When they hit the ball well, they usually win. When they don't, they usually lose. And that's kind of the variance that they've been having in this team. But they get Matt McClain back from a shoulder injury. I think he's going to have a big season. I think TJ Friedel's going to have a big season. Their rotation, I'm a fan of it. I know you just went over it. But last year it was average at best. I think Hunter Green was kind of on that innings restriction, or they were kind of trying to use him not as much. But I'm a big fan of Rhett Lauder. He's an interesting prospect. He pitched okay in the latter parts of the season. So we're going Green, Abbott, Lodolo is top 3. Would you say that? Would you say it would be 1, 2, 3 in the rotation?
Yeah, absolutely. And then there is 4 or 5 names you could throw out.
Yeah, I like Singer. I like Singer.
Yeah. Singer, Abbott, Ashcraft.
Yeah, I love
Lauder.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for Abbott, man. I think we both were on him early on whenever he started playing. I'm a sucker for Abbott. Yeah, but I just they got to be more consistent. I mean, they used 15 different pitchers last year. Nobody had over 26 starts, so they're gonna need to have some consistency and have an everyday guy. And I think Green can be that guy. He showed it, and I think this year, coming off that injury, he'll be a full offseason and healthy. You don't have to worry about like rehab or anything like that. And I really think that Rhett Lauder can be, a back-end rotation guy who can pitch pretty well. He pitched at Wake Forest, which is not too far from me. I saw him pitch a lot. And I mean, I have Gavin Lux is one of the most underrated pickups. He was kind of overshadowed by what he played for the Dodgers, so you got Shohei, you got all these other guys in the lineup, but Gavin Lux was really good during their run. I love the Reds. They're going to be my dark shot to win the division, man. So I'm going to take them to win the division at a big price, hoping that we can get the high end talent because I know the Cubs and the Brewers are who they are, but I could make an argument that the Reds are probably the most talented team top to bottom, like in the division, like if everything gels right. So I'm a fan of Francona. I think he'll be fine here. I like the Reds over, man. I like the Reds over, and I like them to win this division.
Okay, so plus 450 for the Reds to win the division there for Lonte. I like that. A bit of a bigger priced one. We move on to the Milwaukee Brewers. Once I've told you about our partners, Rhythm, who are throwing that epic March Madness party, and you're all invited. Lonte, are you going to Vegas for the party?
I'll be there, but I'll be like working. So I'm working this. I'm working the Big West College Basketball Tournament, so I'll be there like covering the tournament. But I'll try to be around.
Shit, so jealous. Everybody's going. We need some winners urgently. Pick me some winners over this weekend.
Man, I got you.
I can. If Newcastle win the cup on Sunday, I'll see you in Vegas.
You need to fly down with Bob.
Me and Bob will be there. We'll find something for him to do. All Rhythm users are invited to the party. They can pay for me. Rhythm, come on. It's a first for watch party, Wednesday, March the 19th at the awesome Stadium Swim at Circle Las Vegas. Free drinks, hang out with me and Bob and everybody else. Rhythm are giving away a $250 March Madness future for one random lucky Rhythm user. Even if you can't make the party, you can still win with your future bet. Rhythm did really well in March Madness last year. With UConn winning, the percentage of winners was 39% higher than in ESPN brackets. Rhythm predicted Duquesne. I've learned how to say that tonight after I butchered it on Tuesday. NC State and Oakland. A free party, chance for a $250 future bet. When you sign up with Rhythm, go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party for details. At sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party. And finally, do not forget about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Pick'em. You can play any sport, win up to 100x. Use our code, which is MLB SGPN, to claim a special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MLB SGPN. So, fourth on the list here, meaning projected the second highest total, are the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers won 93 games last year, cashed early for me. I took them to win 80, over 80 games at even money. Was a spectacular result, was cashed early in the season. 40-1 here to win the World Series, 22-1 for the National League, plus 280 for the division, plus 115 to make the playoffs. The total here, Lonte, is 82.5, so 10.5 games fewer than their 2024 total. Can you see a 10.5 game drop off from the Brewers?
Man, listen, the Brewers are the you watch American football, right? Or do you follow it closely at all? They're like they're like the Kansas City Chiefs of this division, man. They just constantly win it after year. I mean, they've won a division by 10 games last year, which was the best of any MLB team division winner. They've won 3 of the last 4 division titles. They scored the most runs since 2009. And I think me and you were both, I think Scott as well, we're both on this. Brewers are really good and can make some noise in the playoffs because we usually don't see a ton from their offense. It's usually their defense that does the job. Only the Yankees and the Dodgers had a better run differential, and that's saying a lot with the kind of power and star power that they have in their lineups. I mean, they averaged 91 wins the last 7 years, excluding COVID. They're really good on defense, which is not gonna change. I mean, you just gotta keep playing them over until they prove that they can't do it anymore. I mean, they just have been so good, and it's hard to bet against them. It really is. I mean, they added Cortez, who I mean, as a Yankee fan, I like Cortez more than most, and I think he fits them. I think he fits their style and their style of play He'll probably slide in right at the 2 or 3 spot. I don't know how you feel about that, but Peralta, Rhea, Myers, Savale. So he'll probably fit in right after Rhea, maybe even before, kind of depending on how it goes. But yeah, man, I mean, they're getting Brandon Woodruff back also after missing 24. So I like their rotation. Some of the metrics call for regression, specifically their opponents left on base. So that's kind of concerning. But I mean, losing Devin Williams is not something to be shy about. Willie Adames also was one of 4 players who had at least 20 plus home runs in the lineup. But I think they got enough power in the lineup, and some of those guys, they develop guys so well. Yeah, I got nothing bad to say about Milwaukee. I'll probably own them again. I just want to see what it looks like starting off, and if their offense can kind of keep pace with what they had last year. But yeah, it would be over or nothing for me. Division price, maybe, but I'm pretty sure you can get better during the season. So I'll pass on the division price, but I would go over or nothing. I can't bet under on the Brewers. I really can't.
Yeah, that 10 games is a huge drop-off from 93 down to 82.5 because nothing happened last year by accident. You said they scored a ton of runs. The run differential of plus 136, when you look at the Phillies' run differential, was plus 113. The Guardians was plus 87. The Astros was plus 91. The Brewers separated themselves from this division quite clearly. They have dropped off a little bit. It's just a little bit samey. Like, they've got a young core. Jackson Chu's a starter, like Contreras. The rest is quite underwhelming. As Yelich has shown his age a little bit. Rhys Hoskins the same. And they've got some half-decent young players, not tons of upside. The rotation is more interesting. We like Freddie Peralta in certain spots. We talked about home Peralta a lot last year. Tobias Myers was okay. And then Aaron Savali, Nestor Cortez, Jose Quintana. It's all kind of average, but that's really all they have to do because they'd always put it together. I think Trevor McGill can have a good year in the pen in the absence of Devin Williams. I quite like Brian Hudson in the pen. The worst thing I could say about the Brewers is that they just don't inspire any strong feelings in me. I just, but they do that a lot. That's kind of their thing. Don't they? There's the Brewers. They've won 90 games again. It's just so sort of regular. So I do think they'll be a little bit worse than last year, but I don't see them being 10.5 games worse. I mean, that total of 82.5, I think is quite disrespectful. So yeah, I think you have to take the over, Lonte. I would probably look elsewhere for a division winner. I just think the Reds have got more upside. But yeah, you have to take the over 82.5 wins, which leads us to our NL Central favourites, the Chicago Cubs. World Series, 28-1 for the Cubbies, 14-1 to win the National League, -111 for the division, -150 to make the playoffs. And the total is at 86.5. So projected 4-game winners of this division here. 83-79 last year. They did have a expected win-loss of 88-74. So maybe they're a little bit unlucky in spots. And again, there were 5 games below 500 1-run games. So you turn a couple of those round, if you can put that in the positive column, then all of a sudden, 88 games doesn't seem unreasonable yet for the Cubs. They haven't lost too much. Madrigal, Torkman, Kyle Hendricks, players you aren't going to miss. And obviously the big addition was Kyle Tucker from the Astros. They've really strengthened the bench. Justin Turner, John Birdie, Vidal Brujan, Carson Kelly, all rock solid sort of 25-man sort of players. Starting pitching, they've added Matthew Boyd, Colin Rea from the Brewers, who we like. And you've got Imanaga, Steele, and Tyone. And that's a solid top 3. So if they can cobble it together after that, I like that as 2. In the lineup, I expect a little bit more from the younger players. Pete Crow Armstrong, Michael Bush, Matt Shaw. The bullpen didn't change much. They swapped out Presley for Romano in the pen. They added Thielbar and Brazier. Again, like those bench players I just mentioned, just solid options, like rock solid league average, slightly above league average players to go in. There's no reason the Cubs can't go well here. I think they could have covered this total last year. So they finished on 83. It could have been 88. They could have covered 86.5. So, kind of with average luck and some improvement, I think that over 86.5 is achievable, Lonte. So it'll be an over on the Cubs for me. Ralph's joined us in the chat. Ralph's all over the Cubs. Go, Cubs, go. I play that song, Ralph, a little bit too often because it's quite an embarrassing song for a grown man to play in the car, especially when I've got no real affinity to it. And once you've played it once, if I'm just driving along, YouTube thinks I want to listen to it all the time. It's always putting it on. So I listen to it more than I should. But yeah, go Cubs, go. Great tune. Lonte, how are the Cubbies going to go this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's just depending on how you think they deal with expectations, because they're not like a surprise or anything. They're expected to win a division. They're priced that way. Their win total is priced like they're supposed to contend in the NL, and I think they got the pieces to do so. I mean, the issue that I have is I want to know how they deal with this expectation. I mean, when you're expected to do something, it's a lot harder to do when you have not been in that position in a while. I mean, they haven't exceeded this win total since 2017. I do like the pieces. Of course, love Kyle Tucker. Like you said, 83 wins back-to-back years. They got a really good defense, good pitching. I think Ralph was bringing that up as well. They got to get some more consistent power in the lineup. They were 21st in home runs last year. I think Kyle Tucker coming in adds and will bolster that to be top 15-ish, so they'll rise there. The defense is good enough. I'm expecting a big year from Matt Shaw. I know you brought him up. I think Matt Shaw can have a big year as well. I think they have a higher floor than anybody in the division, and I think that says a lot about a team like the Cubs who've made concerted efforts to add decent pieces around them. I love Imanaga. I would probably take a look at him for Cy Young. He kind of tailed off later in the year. But I still believe in them. They were 10th in ERA. I trust the defense behind them. They bolstered the bullpen. Matt Boyd, he had 8 starts, 2.72 ERA. So I think that's really good. Coming into a favorable spot. I mean, in a division where if the bottom 3 teams, I mean, we don't feel good about 2 of the teams in the division at the bottom, and then the Reds are kind of a coin flip depending on how you feel about them. So you playing a third of your games against those type of opponents. So all you have to do is handle business there, and I think you're a third of the way home on a win total. So yeah, I'm going over.
Yeah, I think this is the only thing with the divisional bet on the Reds is that the Cubs do get to, if they get to 89 or 90, to win 90 games plus 175. I quite like some of these bets where the total is obviously near a round figure.
Mm-hmm.
Like we just done there with the Reds at 78.5. Almost teasing them. It's a little teaser, isn't it?
Yep.
Taking them up to 80. If you can tease the Cubs kind of towards 90 at plus 175, that does leave the Reds with a little mountain to climb there in terms of winning the division. So a divisional bet I probably wouldn't have. But yeah, I do think the Cubs have got some upside. Kyle Tucker's a great player, a good addition. And you're right, Imanaga. Matt Boyd, we've been talking about on this show for years. Never been able to put it together for sort of a long period of time. So yeah, more hope around for the Cubs. Lonte, I did scout across a few player props here, which I'm going to throw in your direction, and you can tell me if I am miles away or if I've got a little bit of a chance. There wasn't anything too obvious. Yeah, it's a weak division, so sort of the award, there was nothing much.
Yeah, it's not a lot of value because the division is pricey. I agree.
Yeah, obviously we'll get to Paul Skeens in a little bit, but Kyle took a 14-1 MVP, was too short. The same with Ellie De La Cruz at 20-1. Skeens at 50-1 MVP is interesting because he really could be anything. But there was a bet that stood out for me that I preferred for Skeens. Now he's plus 275 for the Cy Young. But the books have got that market absolutely spot on. I think Wheeler and Chris Sale represent a little bit better value because they're a bigger price. They're like 7-1 and 8-1, where I just think that plus 275 is a little bit skinny for Skeens.
Yeah.
But there is
too
a
short.
schemes pick that I did like, and it's plus 450. So it's a better price than the Cy Young. And it's him to have the most strikeouts.
Yep, I
He's
agree.
projected to be, yeah. So
Yeah, I made that bet.
I mean,
5-1. I got 5-1.
two
Yeah.
things are almost related, aren't they? Like, if he
Yep.
goes the full season,
Mhm.
which enables him to get the most strikeouts, he probably will win the Cy Young. But you're betting a plus 450 rather than a
Right.
plus 275. So I prefer that. But that's something that you already picked up on, was it, Lonte?
Yeah, I bet it at 5-1 for that same exact
Oh,
logic.
nice.
I also took. I took them to win MVP just simply because of the upside. If they can get to top 3 in a division, and Skeens can win 20 plus games. I mean, they play. We saw it. They play extremely well offensively whenever he's pitching because they know the margin of error is a lot larger when he's on the mound because he's going to limit the opposing team. So unless you have this elite offense, and we're talking about the Dodgers, the Braves. I guess if you want to throw in the Yankees, Mets, whoever that they're going to play, they perform well against these lesser offensively driven teams. So I think Skeens can pile up on the wins. I'll actually bet him for most strikeouts and most wins.
Okay, yeah, nice. I'm pleased. I always like it when you co-sign my picks. That makes me feel like a real boy, Lonte. Elsewhere, Jordan Lawler, you mentioned him for the Cards. He's interesting for Rookie of the Year, 12-1, but they need to stop blocking him. Like, they just seem determined to block his path at every turn. So Lawler's possible. And then the stolen base market's worth looking because obviously you've got the favourites here in Ellie De La Cruz, plus 130 to lead the league in stolen bases. He is projected to have 9 more than his nearest rival. It's probably not a bet I'll be taking season long at plus 130. If you're a Brewers fan and you wanted some action, that market has Bryce Turang at 14-1. Bryce Turang runs like hell on the bases. So, I mean, you're probably talking an injury or something, which we don't wish on anybody here. So you're probably talking something that happened to Ellie to get anyone close to him, frankly. Ellie wins if he stays fit. But 14-1 for Turang. If any Brewers fans wanted a future, might be an interesting pick, Lonte. And that was about all I had. Did you have anything else on any of those markets?
No, but I'm interested in. Do you see a price on Jackson Chourio to win the MVP? I think if he can have a monster year, I mean, he's got a shot. I think it should be a large number, right?
Yeah, I'll find it.
I think I'll take a little couch change on that.
Hang on. My my local books are getting a little bit better at the.
Oh yeah, I know you were talking about the futures market not being as
as good. Here we go. Regular season awards. American League MVP, National League MVP. Jackson Chourio, 33-1, Lonte.
Yeah. So I think that's about right. Yeah, I think that's a good bet to make. I mean, listen, he's going to have a monster year. He's proven that he can show up in big moments. I mean, we saw him in the postseason. We saw him throughout the year be a little consistent, a little bit more consistent. Man, I'm a big fan of the Brewers team. And like I said, if there's any team in the division that we can kind of not worry about, is the Brewers. And I think he can be a big reason as to why they hit that ceiling and kind of overseat, I would say, from an odds perspective, the Cubs in that division spot. So yeah, 33-1 is a decent bet for me. So I'll take that as well.
Nice, Lonte. Another fun player to watch. Division is full of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I think we're done, mate. Good effort. That was your 2025 spring training debut for Lonte. I've had a few more starts in front of you. We're back on Thursday night with the NL West, which I think is me and D-Rock. We'll get stuck into the Dodgers and everybody else on Thursday night. The Premier League show will be on in 2 hours' time, whatever time that is. If you want to come and listen to some Premier League football with me and Baz. Lonte, what's happening with you on the network at the moment?
Man, a lot of college basketball. A lot of NBA. I think right now everybody's focused on college basketball, as myself is. So doing a ton of college basketball stuff. I'll be covering the Big West tournament this weekend in Vegas. So I'm hopefully to link up with Sean and Ryan to do some stuff, because I think they have their local show. I mean, they have their regular appearance on VSiN on Friday. So hoping to be in studio with those guys soon. Yeah. So a lot of college basketball. Yeah, I got to get ready for we're all excited about the MLB season to start, but once we get out of that first month, it's going to be a grind for sure. So
absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah. Fantastic, right? Thank you very much. I enjoyed reconnecting with you after 6 months. It's been about 6 months,
Yeah,
it's
man.
been ridiculous. Yeah. Have a great trip.
Thank you, brother.
Say nice things to Sean and Ryan about
me.
Yeah. Make them up. They won't know. It'll be fine. So yeah, back on what is it today? Thursday, right? So me and Dylan are back next Tuesday, is what I meant to say. The clocks have changed, so whatever time it's scheduled, come an hour later or an hour before, because we definitely won't be on time, would be my advice. Thanks everyone for joining us. Like, rate, review, leave a comment. That's good. That gets the algorithm forcing this into other people's ears. So we do appreciate it. Back next week. Good luck with all your bets over the weekend, and we will see you all down the road. Cheers.